This use case answers the question, what is the technology behind the startups, and how strong is the technology where they evaluate each startup individual, not forcing comparisons per se, although that is an option. So we look at the validation, the states, and differentiation of the technology of those companies or those startups. So here we're going to start from a pharma company's partnering interests and then use that to see which startups have technologies that match those interests. So let's say at Pfizer they're interested in bispecifics. I don't have much more detail. Of course, if you work at Pfizer, you know a lot more details, criteria, etc. So what I will do now, as an example, is I go to the Pfizer profile. I click Ask Anything, and here I ask, based on the developments with regards to novel multispecifics, summarize the innovation interests. And the goal is to use this information to compare any new technology with to see how well it may fit Pfizer's interests. So then the AI comes up with a query, and then we execute that query across the 160 web pages, the Publica, the recent publication, the recent projects, patents, trials, news articles to identify what is Pfizer interested in related to multispecifics. And then we quickly see here, okay, in oncology and hematology, what they're interested in related to manufacturing innovations. We see a clinical focus based on their clinical, preclinical IP activities, strategic teams, and external innovation. So a summary for fit assessments. So I copy this. The next step is now to find companies. So I did a query here for multi-specific or bispecific or tri-specific, so it's 3,500 companies. That's a lot. You can see why they match, because there's 470 patents, 125 publications mentioned on the web page, etc. Now I can, for example, focus on the preclinical therapeutic startups. So let's say I pick the first one here. It'll automatically write a summary on what this company does on multispecifics. What are they doing exactly? What are the recent signals of their activities in this context? With always a reference to the source, and exactly the sentence has been used, plus it's from 2025, and what was the title of that publication. So we see what they do on this topic. We see the recent signals and why it matters. It's a front runner. I could do additional analysis. So I could, for example, look at the technology, the key technology. So I can, again, search for multispecifics across the research of Biomunex, and will then assess all of that and come up with a one-line summary, and then the key technologies that they have available. We can see application examples. We can see technical validation, strong preclinical validation, and relevant models including high-throughput in viro, cytotoxicity, and organoids, patent portfolio across many different targets. We see IP and enabling tools and key insights. So in this way, in one click, I can assess the key technologies of this company in the context of multispecifics. An alternative approach is looking at preclinical activities. So here it talks to them more about the specific assays and studies they have done, the outcomes, etc. We see the disease models, we see the functional mechanism studies, and the key insights summary. So that's how you can assess specifically the preclinical research. Now I could also check the drug research. So here I just say multispecifics, evaluate, and now assess what's in the pipeline. With modality, the indication, the MOA, and the targets, the stage, preclinical scientific validation. So all of that, you don't have to search, you don't have to click around. It just gives us information readily available for you. We see as well, partners, they have IP, so we see it for the different assets that they have in development, and then a key insight summary. Now we're also building a full asset intelligence solution where we extract all this, we structure this across any asset, across any therapeutic area, from very early stage data to late stage data. So that's something we're working on and will be released in the coming months. So the last thing I want to show, very powerful one, is in licensing opportunity assessment. So let's say we're interested in bispecifics or multispecifics. And below, I add what we had on Pfizer. So I have all this information on Pfizer's interest based on their scientific activities. I save this input, I use it as my default analysis, and I can now run a query on, let the AI come up with a query based on all the things we're interested in. So evaluate now, it'll assess the technologies, the assets of this company based on what we provided. And here it says, maybe, not an excellent fit, but the explanation then. Interesting target for further due diligence. We see the promising assets. We have a platform, we have explanation, the stage, the validation, scientifically, mechanism of action. We see then different assets, one in preclinical, in vivo validated state, also a preclinical state here. Now, interestingly, this is not for one company. I could do it for up to 1,000 companies. So all 818 companies I could assess with the AI. And I click on AI and then I evaluate up to 1,000 companies. I won't do all of them now, but you can do that. It takes about 5 minutes. I'll choose the first option where we can also get a report. So that's even more interesting. So let's say we do 50, we check Analyzing Opportunity. It's still here. Advanced Settings, we will just search for anything bispecific, multi or trispecific in any company profile. So what it'll do once we hit Evaluate, it'll assess the 30 most recent publications on this, multi-specifics, the 30 most recent matching patents, and the same for grants, clinical trials, news, and the top web pages. So in this way, it has a lot of information available to assess how well of a fit this is. Then, in the report, we could say, identify high-quality in-licensing opportunities. So let's hit Evaluate. And now, each of those profiles, the first 50 will be analyzed. So in about 2-3 minutes, the report is ready. If I click to view the report, I can download the Excel file with evaluations of each individual company. We see an executive summary, emerging trends, high-impact industry-leading candidates, and so on. If you go down, we can see as well a comparative ranking of companies where we see different criteria, a score out of 10, a total score, and justification. What's differentiating between the Tier 1 candidates, which are lead preclinical to clinical stage, we also see high alignment with Pfizer assets fit. Then, the earlier stage of the partial fit candidates, so compelling preclinical data. Some key differentiators are listed here, and then more early-stage technology adjacent or non-oncology first companies. You see why they differentiate. And then, in those Tier 1, you can see key companies with specific context on those. An in-depth assessment of the Tier 1, the best fit opportunities with the scientific validation, the stage, the summary, and the assets basically. We have more information about the hotspots or trends, rise of trispecifics and multi-arm TCEs, for example, protein degraders, plug and play, etc. We also see some clusters around indications, IP hotspots. It comes up with as well challenges with off-target toxicity, for example, freedom to operate, cytokine release syndrome, key opportunities and some watch-outs, and then recommendations. So that's what we get in the reports. In just a few minutes, you have this total assessment of the top 50 companies on multi-specifics. Here we're going to look into the individual companies. So the 50 companies that are analyzed, we see here the different companies, and we can just look at where it says yes on, is it a good in-licensing opportunity? We can see why, and we can quickly move to the different ones. And we always see the context, the most promising assets, information about the validation modality, IP partnerships, etc. So you can easily scroll through the different ones to do a deep dive. And you can always learn more about these companies, where they founded, last funding round, the specific TAs and sub-TAs. They focus on specific modalities and submodalities. And you can go to the profile on Academic Labs, the website, or LinkedIn to review them more in depth. So that's how you can easily go from any company on multi-specifics. You process up to 1,000 of them and have this kind of assessment, or you split up in smaller chunks and analyze up to 50 with then a report, and that all in just a few clicks. So I hope this helps. Try the platform yourself right now by going to our website.